Hello everyone, I'm your cruise director, Kristen, and this is the first time I've ever done a live stream from my house. Way back when we first started the channel, I did a couple on location, and I am nervous and excited to have you all here this evening. I kind of wanted to just play kind of casual and loose with everything tonight. Like, if you guys have got questions for me, I am going to do my best to answer them, but be nice. And, if you guys want to watch any of my videos with me, so I can give you kind of my commentary and, some behind the scenes stuff, I've got my whole archive pulled up, like even the raw footage. So just ask. Hey, everybody, Kristen, Dave. I know Keith is around here somewhere, Keith from Dying Retail, and a couple other people. So it's really good to see you guys. I guess first thing is, how am I doing? I'm good. I I am definitely Bubbles, or not Bubbles, Buttercup. She's the brunette who's kind of snarky. I think Buttercup would probably ride a motorcycle, so we're going to say Buttercup, which is something that I wanted to go out and do today, but we're actually having a forest fire in West Virginia right now, about an hour away. It's somewhere between Beckley and Charleston, and I live in Huntington, West Virginia, and our air quality is dangerously bad right now, and I have some issues with my lungs from mold exposure a few years ago. So yeah, I have to be really careful with that. So I'm not going to get to go out at all until at least Sunday, and it's going to rain. So that sucks. What have I been up to? About 3 weeks ago, I went up to Pennsylvania for the 2024 Dead Mall Summit. So it's the 5th one we've had. And met up with Sal, who's in the chat right now, and Brandon from Yodeling Loon Retail, and a lot of people from the Dead Malls of Discord server. We had a couple of our mods there. All in all, we had about 8-9 people. And if you hear my husband yelling downstairs, he is not dying. He is online playing with my brother Minecraft. So that is something that I keep going back to as being a future project. It is an extremely labor-intensive process to produce an Overmauled series, because I'm not just researching one mall. For Overmauled 1 in Cincinnati, I had to research 20 malls, and they were all malls that I had some familiarity with already because I'm from there. My intention is, if I do another one, it's going to be Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh, at their peak, Cincinnati had about 20 malls, and Pittsburgh at their peak had about 32 the last time I did a count, which is, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati are about the same size. So it would be a huge undertaking. However, I do have friends who can help me up there. I have friends whose house I can crash out if I have to go up there for like a week, because that's probably what I'd have to do, is just make myself a really regimented schedule and have a shooting schedule for every day and just go up there for a week and knock it out. Yes, Pittsburgh had 32 malls. At least when I started doing preliminary research for a future Overmauled series on Pittsburgh, my count was 32. And I have my friend Devi from Rust Belt Expeditions, who in my community tab a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, they released some fantastic footage of Forest Fair that's just smooth as butter. So go and check that out. But Devin is from Pittsburgh, and they have been a huge help to me. They're my knee for for Pittsburgh. So I really appreciate them. Okay. Yeah, probably the thing I spend most of my time doing when I'm not working on something mall related is riding my motorcycle. I actually got a new one about this time last year. I had that, you guys saw in a couple of my videos, I had that Can-Am Riker, the pink and black trike. I actually sold that last August and bought a Honda Rebel 1100 DCT. So I'm on 2 wheels now. Let me see if I can find you guys a picture of it. I brought my iPad into my office because I'm using my phone as the camera for the stream. So I can't use my phone to show you guys stuff. So I brought my iPad in, but I will try to see if I can find you a good picture of my bike, because it is just my favorite thing. And it's put like 10 pounds of muscle on me already too. There's my bike. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there it is. It was brown when I got it. It was like the color of a copper penny. And I got it vinyl wrapped white. It's like metallic white. And its name at this point is the Tacticorn. My old bike was the Tricorn because it was a trike. So my new one's the Tacticorn because it's got these like Molly Web bags on it that I bought. Do I know them personally? I do not. I have like 2 degrees of separation from Jake. I know people who know Jake. And I enjoy his content a lot, but I am certain he would be full of information. This is my absolute favorite coffee mug, by the way. I drink my coffee out of this every single morning or I'm sad. So let's actually... Oh, I got to show you guys this too. So this showed up out and about in Huntington maybe 2-3 months ago. There's an abandoned chiropractor's office. And one day a freaking boat showed up in the parking lot on a trailer. Within a matter of days, the trailer was gone, but the boat was still there. The boat is still there. It's been there for 3-4 months now. So I got to show you guys the pictures. My husband and I have been making jokes since this thing showed up that it was the SS Dead Mall, and somebody graffitied it as the SS Minnow that showed up about a month ago. I have no idea when this thing's going to go anywhere because it's not on a trailer. It's going to be next to impossible to get it out of there. They're probably going to have to burn it. He does, and I that's what I mean when I say I've got like minimal degrees of separation from Jake. Like I know people who know Jake. Indeed, a whole ass boat. I didn't want to climb inside of it because I'm fairly sure that I'm not up to date on my tetanus shots. So I thought that would probably be stupid to try to climb up there. I wanted to. Ron said no. I keep hoping one of my cats is going to make an appearance here. So you're probably going to see little shadows running through in the background. I have 3 black cats. Okay, I can actually, there we go. I can pop this out. Let's, oh shoot, you know what? I know what we're going to do. Hold on. I have got so many windows open, you guys. It is just insane. But I actually have an idea for a video that we could start this with because it is the oldest and roughest. Bright Sun and Dan Bell put out videos today. It's like a really big night. I was kind of hoping that because of that, there'd be a lot of you guys online. And actually, we've got a great turnout. And if we want to do this regularly, like I'm completely down with this. I'm way more comfortable than I thought I'd be. So let me go to my content. Videos. Okay, so this video is from all the way back. We released it on June 2018. Oh, wait a minute. That is not the wrong, that's not the right screen. Oh yeah, if you ever wondered what the dashboard for YouTube Studio looks like. Okay, this now we're good. Date night. We're not getting multiple pieces of it.
Because we're weirdos.
Oh my gosh. And we edited this video on Corel, it was Power Director 16 that we had gotten for free, basically free from Humble Bundle. And it was really rough. This whole video, my husband, well, my boyfriend at the time, edited it for me with me sitting next to him pointing. So by the next one, I started doing the cuts in the videos. And I think by Town Mall Galleria, which was like our 4th or 5th video, I was doing all the cutting and then he was doing the color grading and the audio. And then I started doing the color grading. I think the first video that I made that was completely
Hello and welcome to my tour of the Forest Fair Village, aka Cincinnati
By
Mall.
myself was
AKA
Eastman Mall in
Cincinnati
Columbus, so it was
Mills,
probably about a
probably
year
best known
before
as Forest
I
Fair
was
Mall.
doing them
I'll be your cruise
independently.
director, Kristen,
But
and
it's
this
a
is
process. I
Unicorn
kind of got
Productions.
lowered in like a new goldfish into the tank. Like I was there
I've
in
been
my
wanting to
bag
start
until
doing
I
dead
finally
mall
decided I
videos
wanted
for
to
a
swim
while and
out.
wanted to start with this one. I grew up in and still live in
Am I
Cincinnati,
getting,
and I'm
are you
old
guys
enough to
getting any
remember when the
echo from
mall
this? 'Cause I
opened
have
in
my speakers on
1988
and I
and
can
was
turn them
new and
off.
vital, however brief that period
Hey,
of vitality
Alan?
was. It was the best way to spend a rainy Saturday when I was 7, hands down. In addition to
And
my
this
own
was
memories,
shot
I
on
did
an
indeed
iPhone
dive with the
6
Cincinnati
Plus.
Enquirer archives to put together a
Completely
timeline and a
handheld.
story of how the mall was born and reborn over and over, only to get to where we are today. On a Saturday in June
Oh,
2018, my co-explorer and I visited the mall to see what
I
sort of
just want to
condition
tell
the
you
now
guys that
essentially
if
empty
you
mall was
think that
in.
you can't do YouTube,
As someone with so
look
many
at
fond
this
memories
and
of the
then go
place, it was
watch
really
Expo
sad.
Square
I
and
hadn't been there
see
to really take a
that
look around in about a
I've at
year,
least
and there
grown
were
a
a lot
little
of
bit.
things
Like
that had happened even
every
since I'd
video
been
you
there
get a little
last.
better, and that's the most important part for me. Also, back then we were both shooting the videos, and I shoot them completely alone now. My husband's just too busy. He's very, very busy with work, and he's kind of, oh, there I am with my pink hair. Forest Fair is always going to have my heart. It's the number one. Like it was when I was 8 years old and Disney World was out of our reach. You could have a good Saturday here. You really could. You could walk right on the carousel. They'd let you ride the carousel for free. I think that would be really cool to do them all in
The original plans began for the mall in
mid-century motifs.
1985,
I
and the
think that
concept was a
a
value mall with
thriving
tenants like
mall
TJ Maxx and
would be
Marshalls.
really cool to
An
see
Australian
in
firm,
like
LJ
a
Hooker, was in charge of the planning and execution, and
like
the
a
concept was
mid-century type
abandoned
design,
in
like
favor
almost
of
like
an
a Disney type
ultra-luxury
design.
concept.
Forest Fair
It was considered a
well, it
very
still is, it's
ambitious,
still standing,
potentially
is in
disastrous plan,
Cincinnati,
partially
Ohio,
due to the
Texas,
location
Forest
and the demographics of
Fairfield,
the area in which it was
north
located.
suburbs of Cincinnati.
Forest Park and
And
Fairfield, two
it opened in
neighborhoods the mall is situated
1989.
between,
It
and where
died
it derives
multiple
its name from,
times and
Forest
was
Fair,
resurrected by
are
multiple
blue-collar
owners.
middle income. The concept was
And
sink or swim, based on the mall becoming an attraction,
had a
drawing
sad story
shoppers
and
from a
such an
wide
oddity
area.
because it was basically
There were
empty
already
for
two
a
established
decade.
malls within a
And
10-minute
you could just
drive of
walk
the
around in
site,
there. It was
Northgate
an
and
abandoned building
Tri-County,
that was open to the
between
public.
whom pretty much
But
any
you weren't going
anchor
to get
that was
arrested
known
for
and
being
popular with
inside.
Cincinnati shoppers already had a location. The new Forest Fair
Oh, look
Mall
at
would be
that
the largest in
ceiling.
Ohio,
Yum.
at over 1.5 million square feet when it opened, and had spaces for over 7 anchors. The developers were having some difficulty luring large retailers to occupy the spaces and purchase controlling interest in 3 chains:
Thank
Texas-based
you, that designer
Sackowitz,
guy.
and
That's
2
very
New
sweet of
York-based
you.
department stores, B.
A lot of
Altman
love
and
goes
Bonwit
into them.
Teller. They also purchased a smaller
I
interest in the
haven't. I missed
Alabama-based
it.
chain
Like I was
Parisian,
literally
who owned
down the
locations in
road
the
from
Forest
there
Fair, as
for
well
a
as 2 other
weekend
malls in
back in
Cincinnati.
May of
The lineup of anchors was
2023,
completed by Elder
and
Baron,
I
based in
just could
nearby
not.
Dayton,
I was down there
Ohio,
for something
who
else. I
was signed
kept
when
trying to get
Cleveland,
away, and it
Ohio's
just kept
Higbees
not
pulled
happening.
out, and
Oh my
Biggs, a
gosh, Mr. Hell
hypermarket who
Yes,
sold
you're the
both
party
groceries and
has
general
started.
merchandise, who
Everybody
would be
do this,
opening
man.
their
Oh
second
yeah.
location in the Cincinnati area.
Oh,
This
me
was kind
too.
of a novel concept at the time because we didn't have things like Walmart Supercenter. Biggs was the first anchor to sign back when the concept for the mall was still a value mall and not a super luxury destination. The mall
Biggs
would
is
also
kind of a
feature
weird story because it was
carousel, carnival-style
a
games and rides,
hypermarket
an
before
8-screen
Walmart
movie theater, and a
Supercenter,
2-story
and
food
I
court.
mean, I remember Super Kmart showed up in our
The mall
area
would
probably in
open in
the
stages.
early
In July of 1988, the
90s.
wing of the mall
There weren't
featured
very
Biggs
many of them.
and during the holiday
Biggs
season
was
of
basically
1988,
what
local
Meijer
advertisements were
is
run
now.
touting bigger things are yet to
It was
come
a
in
big,
Fairwood.
kind of
The
slightly
entire
nicer
mall
than
would open in
Walmart
March
Supercenter type
1989
place.
with a gala ribbon cutting, featuring celebrity guest Phyllis Diller and fancy door prizes such as crystal carousel horses. The mall was dazzling. Brass
You guys
roof
remember
tops
that
covered
one,
with sparkling
like for
white
6
lights, and
months in
glass skylights
1989,
above
that
each
carousel
pillar.
horses were really, really popular as a motif. Oh, I love Meijer. I was actually in there this morning, and every time I go in Meijer now, because I don't have any in West Virginia, I just want to like drop to my knees and thank everyone in the store for making it such a wonderful shopping experience because it's so clean. Oh, it was beautiful. I am great, Ryan. How are you? Oh, the titles. The titles. Like I kind of like the charm of the titles in this video because they look like Windows word art from the 90s. It was unintentional because that was what titles we had to work with in this editing program. But right now they kind of have a little bit of a retro charm to them. They're kind of Frutiger Arrow. I guess I'm probably misusing that, right? Like I'm only just like I've gotten the primer on what Frutiger Arrow is. Oh, Lexington's a great town. I spent the night there a few months ago because I went over there to go to Buc-ee's on the graffiti bridge down near Richmond. I would imagine Meyer's a good place to work. They're unionized. I mean, the people who work there always seem like they're doing pretty good. The one in Eastgate in Cincinnati. Keep it real, bud. Have a good night. But you got to remember what I'm comparing Meijer to. Like I am talking about a Walmart in Huntington, West Virginia that I am kind of not crazy about going to after dark.
As a result of the remodel that took
there I
place
am
in
again.
2004, which I'll get into greater detail here in a moment.
Thank you, Sal.
The theme of this food court was picnic on the river, so there's light fixtures that sort of look like bobbers, some benches around the
I
columns.
don't remember being in this video this much. That is weird.
It's this sort of plasticky material. There's bubbles in it, and you can see them when the light hits it.
Now,
it's kind of funny
that's something that a lot of people who weren't there before it was remodeled don't quite. It's hard to visualize. Yes, Ryan. In fact, that very Walmart. The thing about Forest Fair when it was remodeled, it's hard to visualize with the way it is now. But if you look across on this bottom level, you can see there's a storefront there that I think the first thing that was in there was a Stephen Barry's. And prior to the remodel or prior to about the 2000s, that's where the roller coaster or the Ferris wheel and the carousel and everything, all of that was in there. There was a huge, I mean, anchor sized space that all of these entertainment facilities were. There's a big arcade back there, and it was inside where the Showcase Cinema and the Stephen Barry's would have been across from this food court. And I know that that's something that has messed people up when they're doing research for it because there's not a lot of maps around from various eras of the mall. In fact, if I recall correctly, that space was filled in around 2000, 2001-ish. Anyway, moving on.
To demonstrate exactly what these bubbles are like to walk on.
Fixtures that look like bobbers. Oh God. Okay, I just want to take a second to show everybody this.
And 4 years after this video was shot, I married that mensch of a man.
It's literally falling apart.
He is just my favorite person in the whole world.
Like,
this is my boyfriend Ron. Most of the really good
this is my boyfriend Ron.
Shots you see in this video were his, as well as the pop-up video style commentary you see along the bottom. He has much more experience with video and audio editing than me, and I couldn't have done this without his help. So thank you so much for your support in helping to get this accomplished.
Yeah, it was called Crazy City at Tri-County Mall. And I remember the first time I went in there thinking, this is not as nice as Time Out. That was almost 100% my reaction. Like, I'm unimpressed by this because I've seen Time Out on the court. I
This
probably
is
would
the
have thought it
movie
was really
theater, which
cool
was
otherwise.
remodeled at the same time as the rest of the mall. When the mall opened in 1989, the theater was called Super
What's
Savers
funny is
Cinemas
when you
8,
watch
and it had a glass
videos
block facade with
over
red and blue
time
lights
from
that
this
flashed.
mall,
You'll see a
the
photo of what it looked
letters
like
in
on
the
the
food
screen as I'm
court, they
talking.
just keep
It's hard to
disappearing.
describe
That
to someone who
brain
didn't
feed,
see it in
brain
person just
freeze place. I think the
how
last time it said
ridiculous
like
it looked.
Irie something, like
It
there's like
didn't
3
make
letters left on that
noise,
sign.
but it was almost like you could hear it. It's the best way I know how to describe it.
Cincinnati
It was so bright
had
and
some
flashy, it was
very
literally
good
giving
looking
people
malls.
seizures, and
I
that's not an
agree completely.
exaggeration. They had to slow it down, and it ultimately had to be turned off altogether. Inside the theater lobby were still more nightclub style neon colored and moving lights.
We used to call that
It
one
was
Super
unlike
Raver
anything I'd
Cinemas.
seen
It
before when I
was
was
it
a
was the
kid,
most ridiculous
and really unlike anything
nightclubby
I've
movie
seen
theater.
outside of someplace like Disney World
I have never
since.
seen anything like
It
it
was
since.
completely over the top. And the most stunning thing was that this theater was a discount theater. You can hear it in its name. It was Super Saver Cinemas. It was a second run theater. Just like everything else in the mall, those lights didn't
Oh,
last
if
long.
you,
One by
I
one, as
wish
the
there
mall
was
was
film of
burned
it
out, they were
somewhere.
replaced until it was just like
It was
any other theater
insanity. Like
lobby
it may have been
until it
hard for a
closed.
TV camera to catch how fast it was moving. It was just these trailing red and blue lights, and just a waterfall of glass brick with lights behind it.
Speaking of things that didn't last long, let's get back to the story of how things started to go downhill.
I've been to both.
The mall talked a big game.
It's
Newspaper
been I
advertisements
think
from
it's
March
been probably
1989
10 years
called
since I
Timeout
went
on
to
the Court, the
Easton,
entertainment
but I
complex,
was at
as the first of its
Polaris
kind, and the
around
mall itself was
Christmas
America's first super mall.
last year or the year
I
before,
specifically remember there was
and
like a
it
Star Search
was
contestant
so
audition
busy I
event being
couldn't have
held in the large center court.
dreamed
Sort of
to
would have been like
begin
American Idol auditions at the time. The fanfare didn't last
to
long, however. By June of 1989, only 3 months after the
begin
full
to
opening,
film in
the
there.
mall had been
It was
placed up for
so
sale.
busy. We walked
In
in the food
July,
court,
the
got
head of
dinner, and
LJ
left
Hooker and the
because this is
mastermind of
too
the
many
mall's
people.
concept, George Herskew, had filed for bankruptcy protection, and by September of the same year, the firm itself had as well. In October of 1990, Bonwit Teller closed its
I
doors,
just
and by
have
the
to say
following
that if
month,
you
B.
guys have been
Altman and
around
Sacklers had
since the
followed suit.
beginning, I thank you so
In an
much for
article about
sticking
the
with
state of
me
the mall
because I
published
don't
in
know
the
that I would have
Cincinnati
stuck with me
Enquirer
after
in
this.
June of 1990, the occupancy level of the mall was quoted at 65%, and by summer of 1991, it had fallen further
That
to
makes me really happy to
56%.
hear that Tuttle
Around this
is
time, a sale was
improving,
closed
because
with
Tuttle
FFM Limited
is
Partnership,
probably
a
the
group of 7
prettiest
lenders
mall in
comprised of
Columbus,
veterans of the
like
retail
by a
industry
large
who tried
margin,
to
at
turn
least
the
in my
mall's
opinion. I mean,
fortunes
it's a
around.
Tubman, so they've already got like 10 points head start on anybody else. I'm in Columbus a lot actually because there's a motorcycle gear store up there called Iron Pony that's in a former Kmart that I go to probably 3-4 times
A
a summer.
children's beach-style play area with real sand was open in the large center court area. The mall was rebranded as 4 smaller
Thank you
sub-malls.
for
The
that.
Biggs Wing,
That
that
is an
now also housed
accomplishment,
a
and I
CompUSA
appreciate
computer
you so much.
superstore, was now branded the
Other
Markets of
Kristen,
Forest Fair.
Kristen with
A
an E.
wing that held Elder Bierman and led to Parisian that housed many of the mall's clothing and accessory stores was branded the Fashions at Forest Fair. And the wing that led to the now vacant B. Altman was branded Lifestyles and was now home to a Sam Goody superstore and a sizable Little Professor booksellers.
Oh, I remember that Little Professor booksellers. The last thing I heard about Northgate in Cincinnati is that it and Eastgate are kind of running a contest to see who can completely die first. The last time I was at Northgate would have been in early 2020, around the time I shot.
The
It was May
biggest and most
2020 because it was right
notable
after the
new
malls
strategy
reopened,
was the Festival at
and
Forest Fair,
it
a
was a
restaurant and
mess.
bar
Like
complex that
Eastgate was
opened
doing
in August of
easy,
1993 in the
then it
former Bonwit
was
Teller space that was prominently located off of Center Court. This space was fully renovated to resemble an outdoor space with cobblestone streets and cast iron streetlights running between the various new places to eat and drink. For a period of time
60
during
people
1992 and 1994, things
for
were
that
looking
mall.
up.
That's a big deal.
Occupancy rose to
I
75%,
was actually
and Kohl's department
drove
store
past
opened,
this
who will remain
morning.
as an
It was
anchor
before
to
it was
this
open
day.
though.
However, restaurants and bars in the festival began to close in 1995, and the mall once again began to lose retailers. An advertisement run in 1995 in April proudly touts that the mall has over 100 shops and restaurants, which sounds really impressive until you remember that the mall has spaces for over 200.
I love
It's
that. They're
kind of
like, we
like
have
saying we're
100
not half
stores
empty, we're half
and
full.
100 empty spaces because we have 200 inline spots and only 100 of them are full. guys have to excuse me for a moment. There is a piece of hair stuck to my glasses, and it is driving me insane.
Dowa Harris, who had opened in the empty Sackowitz space, closed in early 1996, and the mall was sold for the second time since its opening to Gator Investments of Florida. Gator's changes to the mall began slowly. In 1998, Parisian and CompUSA would leave the mall to be replaced
Looking
with
back over the history of this mall, I think Gator Investments was probably the ones who
These new tenants were
had
joined by Media Play,
the
a
most
folk movie and
potential.
music retailer. Also
They
in
owned the mall
1998,
until around the time that
Time Out on the Court with its carousel,
Mills
miniature
came in to
golf,
take
and
over,
games
and
supposed to
they
make
were the
way
ones who
for
got
the
Bass
second
Pro. They were the
first
ones who
movie
got
theater.
um,
Wonder Park, a
Kohl's
smaller
to
music
come in
park
the
and arcade
showcase
run
their
by
mall.
Namco, would open in the Kohl's wing across from Media Play. And the now empty Festival at Forest Fair space
Thank you.
was now
Yes,
occupied
please
by
join
the
our
American
Discord
Hoop
server.
Factory
We
in
would love to
2001.
have you. It is a great place to meet great friends and have great fun. I have been a member of the DMod server since 2017. I was actually the third person that joined. We now have, I believe, how many members?
On the part of the larger anchor stores, in attempts by Gator to renovate and give the mall a facelift,
4,100 members.
By 2002, when the mall was purchased by the Mills Corporation, who had big plans to completely renovate and rebrand the mall. In 2003, the remaining 30 interior-facing tenants were asked to leave or relocate in order for the large-scale planned renovations inside the mall to take place. And the mall would reopen on August 19th of 2004 as
That's
Cincinnati
still a lot
Mills.
of people.
Before we head into the Mills era, though, let's take a break for the pause that refreshes.
Oh gosh, I remember this.
I think I should get a Coke machine. I think I should get a Coke and see how
this Coke machine was so sketchy. And I purchased sodas out of this machine multiple times after this.
Holy shit. This is the first time I ever actually get to use this.
Oh.
Ooh, in 2018, being able to use your phone to pay for something was a new and exciting thing. Liberty Center doesn't seem like it's ever done particularly well. I remember hearing things about that around the time I left and I moved in July of 2020 down here, that Liberty Center was, parts of it were not doing great.
Soda machine still works.
Oh, it's cold.
Wow. And it's cold.
I think the saddest part of this shot for me is that in June 2018, 20-ounce sodas out of a vending machine were $1.25. $1. How much are they? $3.50 now?
Well, it's got to be fairly new because the Cokes have like.
You're from Cookville.
Thing on it. Share a Coke with them.
Yeah, that mall was really a great find. I didn't think it was still open.
June 18th.
Okay. Well,
So they're brand new.
yeah, they're.
Oh no, there's a sort of Easton-esque mall outdoor lifestyle
As I was saying, the mall reopened on
in Westchester, Ohio, called Liberty Center. That's what we're referring to, not the town.
The mall
Sorry.
boasted 90% occupancy at opening, but I remember going to the opening.
Also happened at Newport on the Levee too.
Were occupied were
there were spaces in Newport on the Levee on that second floor that I don't think ever had a tenant in them.
And another that was like a tiny version of Harbor Freight, only with boxes lined up.
We should have been keeping a tally of how many times you see somebody's finger in this video.
There were a lot of mom and pop stores with sort of unusual concepts that were there because the Mills Corp clearly wanted to be able to boast a high occupancy rate, and it offered retail space for a drastically reduced price.
Hey, when you're thirsty, extreme actions are justified. Newport's doing good now. I haven't been down there since they remodeled, but my mom has told me very good things. My whole family still lives there, so I get I'm getting a report pretty much every week from my mom. Each state is worse than the last time I talked to you about it.
These chains had already tried to open there and failed less than 10 years prior. By 2005, Media Play had closed, and the Johnny's Toys, a local institution that had been open a few miles away,
used to be Wonder Park inside here. We're seeing it from above.
In the mall when it reopened.
Shoo, shoo, shoo.
The Mills
shoo,
Corporation
shoo,
began to suffer financial problems, not only due to Cincinnati Mills, but many of its properties nationwide under
The
her
amount of
including the
stuff that
infamous
was on top of
$100
those
mall in
things
Pittsburgh and
toward
St.
the
Louis
end
malls.
was absolutely insane.
Mills
It
owned
had become a
42
game.
malls in the U.S.
It was
at the
like, I'm
time.
going to toss
In
something up
April
there and see if it shows up in
2007, the
somebody
mall
else's
gained
video.
its
I
fifth
guarantee
owner
you
over
people
its
are doing that.
19-year
Like,
life
I'm
as
going to
Simon
throw
Property Group took over.
this Coke bottle
During this
full of
period of
pee
time,
up
the
there.
Mills Corporation began being investigated by the Securities and
I went to
Exchange
Colonial
Commission
Park
due
a
to
couple weeks
accounting
ago.
irregularities.
It's not
In
doing great
2008,
now.
the mall lost Wonder Park and Biggs as tenants.
You did?
By March 2009, the mall was only 44% occupied and it was sold to North Star
Yeah,
Realty.
there's a video
As
coming on
part of the deal,
Colonial
the
Park.
name
I
was
do
required to be
think
changed to
the
Cincinnati
next video
Mall,
is going to
as
be
the
Strawberry
Mills name was
Square,
the
just
trademark
because
property of the Simon
I'm
Group.
just so excited for you guys to see it.
Between
But I do have
2009
Colonial
and
Park
2010,
and
the mall lost
Lebanon
Showcase
Valley
Cinema,
from
the
that trip.
first-run theater
And
that had opened.
the point at Carlisle
Stephen
Park.
Barry's,
Well,
who
that
were
one's going to be a
occupying an
short one.
entire
The mall
anchor
is
space
so
by this point,
small.
and off Fifth,
I have a
recreate
couple
Center for
different
Saks
plans.
Fifth
It kind
Avenue,
of depends on
parallel
how
to a
money
brand new
shows up
outlet
and
mall that had just opened.
time off and all that stuff. But
North Star Realty sold the
I
mall yet
usually put a
again
mall
in
trip in
2010 to
January,
Cincinnati Holding
and
Company, LLC,
usually in
who
January
remain
I went to the
owners to this
South.
day.
There are a few in like Tennessee and
In
North Carolina that
2013,
I want to
the
see.
name was
It's
officially
moving
changed to
roads are
Forest
coming
Fair
back to
Village.
normal.
However, no evidence is
Being
present on the
accessible down
property that
there.
this is so. All the
And
signs within the property
I've
still
got a
show
couple things in mind
Cincinnati
for next
Mall.
summer. I do kind of want to go up to Minnesota because
Shout out
it's
to
just a
Dingbo.
gold mine of malls I haven't seen yet. I've also thought
Horrible
about
fake
trying to do
plants.
the I-80
At least they're not dusty.
Upper Pennsylvania, New York
What have we got
trip
down
on my
here?
bike. I think that would be fun. It kind of remains to be seen, but the last couple of years I've taken a mall trip on Martin Luther King Day weekend because I got a 4-day weekend. So that was when I did Savannah Mall 2 years ago, and then this last year I went down to Tennessee in Chattanooga. But if I go back there, I'm going to be trying to get Foothills. I want to try to get Fort Henry Mall, and there's a couple more. You know,
One of
Richland
the
Fashion
features of
Mall,
the
if you
Mammoth
go back and
retail
look at
strategy,
videos of it, it is
FC
more or
Cincinnati, the
less
newly
a
minted Major
really
League
good
Soccer team,
facsimile of what
passed on using the
Forest Fair
property
looked
to
like
build a
when
new
it opened
stadium.
before the
A
Mills
production
remodeled it. So
company has
it's actually,
expressed
I
interest in
love
using it to
that
film
mall,
movies and
seeing
TV
footage
shows.
of it because
Plans have been
it just,
unveiled in the
there's
last
so
4
few
to 5 years to convert
and
parts of the
it just,
property
go
to a
back to
hotel,
mozzarella,
a
it looks
sports
just like Forest
complex,
Fair.
even a police or military training facility, but none have fully come to fruition. However, there is some evidence that
Oh
the
yeah,
media
yeah. I
place
haven't
space
been to
has
the
been
Mall
used
of
for
America
police training at
since
some point. There's signs up.
2008. So that is 2009. I was at Mall of America summer 2009. Hi, Colby.
All joking aside, this once absolutely gorgeous building is in a sad state
Yeah,
of
I got to go back
affairs.
to the Mall of
A
America. I
lot of
think
the
at the
Mills
time,
remodel,
because I
while
wasn't
cute
like
and
into
colorful, were
this
done
at the
cheaply
time,
and
but I was
actually
very
did a lot to
shopping at malls.
downgrade the
In
opulence
my
of the original
opinion,
design.
in
They have
2009
clearly
of
not
the Mall
stood
of
the
America,
test of
is I was
time.
expecting these
It's
like
interesting that there are other
flagship,
malls that were developed by
huge,
the
like you
Hooker
go into
Group
the
at the
Hot
same
Topic, and this
time
mall is
that
3
seemed to have
times the size
aged
of a
better
normal
than
Hot
this
Topic,
one
and they've
that
got
weren't
stuff you can't
remodeled.
get anywhere else.
The inflatable fish that
And
once hung over
that
the
was
food
not the
court hangs
case. It was
slack and empty.
every mall store in
The
one
once
place.
shining brass
They have
beams were covered
everything.
with drywall.
The Hot Topic at the Mall
Glass
of America
skylights
is
covered
not
with
that
plaster,
different
now
than the Hot
crumbling and
Topic, the
exposing the
local mall,
interior
and
to the elements.
stuff like that. The food court didn't impress me that much because I'm not really a sit down meal in a mall person. I like the food court, and I was hoping for something a little bit more unique in terms of food court options.
I
And
want to
at
point out
the
that
time,
during our visit to the mall, we
it
saw
was
only
just
one
more of
security
the
guard.
same type of stuff.
Despite warnings from others, the security was
This
vigilant
video
and
is
strict
old.
with
I
the
shot this
photos and
video in
video. He didn't
2018.
seem
This was
particularly
actually my very
interested in
first
stopping us.
video.
In fact, there were several other groups of 2 or so people doing exactly what we were. The arcade, that is the only interior tenant, does quite well on the weekends. He seemed there primarily to
We
corral
didn't have
children and
Golden
teenagers
Coffee
bound
down
for the
here for very
arcade.
long, but I actually
However,
liked
we
them
didn't
a
want to
lot
disobey
better
a sign that we were
than
clearly not supposed to
Starbucks
cross.
when we had them. They had like a s'mores latte that was really good. Media play.
We drove
I
around the
loved
exterior of the
because
building, and
it's
here is where
bad.
the decay and the disrepair of the mall
I've
has
had
been
this
allowed to
video
fall
unlisted
into is
for a few
really
years. When I
evident.
came out with
There's
the
a
second
4-level
one,
parking garage that you're
I
only allowed to
reused enough
access a very
portions
small
of my
portion of the
original
bottom
scripts
level
that I
of.
feel like I
At
should
one
have both
time,
of
there was a
them up. My
nightclub
intention
complex
was
on
to
the top
basically
level of
make
the
it.
parking garage. We
So
drove past it. was a
this
chain,
one and
we
put
didn't want to
the
be
new
running the
one
risk
in
of being
its
asked to
place.
leave.
So there is a
The nightclub
video
complex was called
on
Bourbon
this
Street when it
mall
first
that I
located.
did about a
It was
year
moved there after the
after we
festival was deemed
started
a
the
failure.
channel
It
because
was later changed to Metropolis, and its last incarnation was Place 2B, as you can
we had
see
hit
on the
1,000
signage there.
subscribers. Like it took me almost exactly a year to hit 1,000 subscribers. Oh,
This was the last area we visited.
everybody
At this point,
pause.
after
We're in the
seeing
presence of the
pulse
legend
with the
here.
sky and the ceiling, you'd think we were immune to seeing decay, but
Oh,
nothing
there are
quite
so many
prepared
malls
us
on
for
that side of the
this.
country I would love to get to see. Like I hadn't really looked at Pennsylvania and New York very much because there's so many content creators with big channels that are kind of up concentrated in that general region. That a lot of the malls I've tried to do either south or west because it's in the opposite direction of where everybody else lives. Oh, this vehicle. So apparently the story I heard, which seemed the most plausible, is that the transmission
Oh, it's like
on
something out of Resident
escape
Evil.
or this escape blew at some point. It was just
Oh,
immobile.
Jesus, a
It sat
lurker
there.
is gonna get
The
me.
problem is it belonged to a security company that was no longer under contract with Forest Fair,
This is
and
like
they
prime,
just left it there because they forgot about it.
creepypasta.
And the mall didn't own it, so they couldn't get rid of it.
There are people on the
And the people who did own it didn't know it was still there, so it was just kind of a nobody knew what to do with that situation. And I think it finally disappeared sometime in 2019.
Cincinnati Mills Mall, Forest Fair Village.
Yeah. You could start it right up today. There's probably still gas in it.
Dude and Ed, who might not be real happy with us filming.
Oh, it's got the spare.
No, that was way back. This was probably, if I had to guess,
They got that one. The security
company that was either the first or second one that was employed by Mills, because that escape was a 2004, and it was last registered in 2008.
It is.
Even the renovations are fucked.
Yes.
Oh, I gotta get up there at some point. Like, I'm just gonna have
I
to
want to
bite
take a
the bullet,
second to give a shout out and thanks to the fine people
get a
at the
plane
Dead Balls
ticket,
Discord.
rent a
I've been
car,
spending weeks bouncing ideas off you folks. You've
and
been
just
super
go
patient.
tear it up
You're
there.
awesome, and I hope you enjoyed watching this as much
Because
as we
the
enjoyed
problem with
making
Minnesota
it.
is it's
To
gonna
all of you,
take
I have
me
that as well. There is a Dead Malls
2 days to
Discord.
drive there. You know what? Why not? I mean, Yugos are cheap. Security vehicles don't really move around that much. They don't have to go very fast. Why not? I think you could certainly do worse. Okay. So I'm just going to go back to full screen for the moment, because if I have to pull something up that way, I don't have to. Yeah. Unfortunately, we've all got a limited amount of time off to do it. Hey, Shadow Striker, we've all got a limited amount of time off to work with. And although if I flew up there, I could probably do it in 3 or 4 days. You know, I'm not sure of whether Yugo exists anymore. And this is an anything goes kind of thing tonight. Let's find out. The end of production for Yugo was on November 11th, 2008, which was the last vehicle created by them was the 794,428th car they created. So that's your fun fact for this evening. I am nothing if not a font of useless information most of the time. I don't know a whole lot of practical things, but I do have the Rescue Rangers theme song taking up real estate up there. Well, I don't know. Yeah, Yugo probably was the worst car. Although, like, early Hyundais were really giving it a run for their money. Like, some of those, like, old Hyundai Excels from the 80s, not good cars. What time is it? We're coming up on 40 minutes. I do not remember Cheers that well. You're going to have to explain that one. Let's see. So is there any, I'm again happy to answer more questions, and I can pull, let's see if I've got any videos I can play with here. Okay. Actually, I'm going to see if I can cast this to you guys, because if I can, you'll be able to see. Let's see. How do I do that? No, they can be completely random. What is my favorite mall I have documented? Forest Fair is way up there. Knoxville Center was really a great experience. Filming Knoxville Center, I think that might have been the craziest trip I ever went on, because I was driving there from Cincinnati. I drove there and back in a day. So I did about 10 hours of driving that day. This was in January of 2020. I had COVID like in the weeks leading up to that. And I was just recovered enough to go, and they were going to close that day. And so I had to go down there, and little did I know, halfway through filming, I start running a fever, and I'm coming down with the flu that I caught at work that Wednesday. So I got better from COVID and immediately got the flu. So like that mall, it was kismet that I was able to film it at all, that I was well enough to go down there. Okay, next question. Favorite hotel you've stayed at on a filming trip, and my least favorite. Actually, they were both on the same trip. It was when I went up to Northridge and back. I stayed in Lafayette, Indiana on the way up in a Holiday Inn that had a really, really pretty lobby, really pretty building. And the Holiday Inn Express I stayed in on the way home. I just had the worst. I feel like I got taken to the cleaners because I walked in and paid for the room. I paid $140 for a room at a Holiday Inn Express on a Sunday night. And the desk staff were really rude. The lobby was full of a children's softball team and a bunch of drunk dads. It was just really an awful experience staying there. Like, it wasn't dirty or anything. If I had to guess, that hotel was brand new. I don't think that bed had ever been slept in, and I'm still saying that. So, okay. How do you decide which dead malls to go and document? Well, normally I try to pick a direct, normally there's one primary mall that I want to go get on that trip. So like, just as an example, January 2 years ago, Savannah Mall was getting ready to close in a matter of days. So that was my primary directive. So if I got to drive to Savannah and back, what are stuff I can hit on the way? So I ended up going to a few malls in South Carolina on that trip. So usually lately, just to economize my time and make sure that I'm able to get as much content for my gas money, I try to target a region, and then I fill in the gaps along the way. And that's worked out fairly well. I do have a spreadsheet that I just kind of keep track. I have malls that I kind of have on my watch list that when I first started making videos, they were not dead enough to bother with, but now they are. Tuttle Crossing was one that fell into that category, that when I first started making videos, I really wanted to go there, and it wasn't dead enough yet. And then lo and behold, 3 years later, it was. Knoxville Center, I filmed that one. It was in January of 2020. It was right before everything went sideways. Can't say I've stayed in an abandoned Red Roof Inn. I love kittens. I probably need to not be allowed near kittens because I'm going to take them home with me, and I've already got 3. So, girl, we got to get together and go shopping on one of these trips. Like, we need to go to the mall and shop for clothes. You know, that actually is a really excellent point. And I have actually considered doing, I've actually filmed both of my local malls, neither of which are dead at all. At Ashland Town Center in Ashland, Kentucky, and Huntington Mall, they're both above 90% occupancy, but I have filmed them both around Christmas 2 years in a row, just in case. Although those malls are so remarkably, yeah, those malls are so remarkably successful and they're such an anomaly. I don't think they're ever going to die. They may be the last 2 malls that exist. I have, but I haven't filmed it. I actually went to a bike show over there last spring, and I've been over there at least a couple more times since then. But I do need to go over there and film a video like that. I think if we do Camp Landing, that's going to be the revival of Dead Mall Date Night, definitely. What video on my channel took the most effort to make? Northridge. I had, normally when I open up a file for a mall about that size, so let's just, as an example, just for the heck of it, I'm going to look at what my folder looks like from, well, Knoxville Center, since we were just talking about that. I think it's in here. Yeah, St. Louis Mills is a good example. So the St. Louis Mills folder that I've got right now, which this was a pretty good size. This folder is 42 gigs. My Northridge folder is 165 gigs. So I came home with, I know I came home with like over 90 clips, 10-second clips that I shot handheld. I had hours and hours of footage. That was definitely the video that took the most work for me. I was working on it in parallel with my others because part of the, I mean, I can say this now because it's coming down, but part of the terms of me being able to get in there without getting in trouble is that I had to sit on the footage for a few months. So I had time to work on it. And by the time I was able to release it, but it was something I was working on all the time. How did I get started documenting dead malls? Well, the thing that interested me in it, like I had been reading deadmalls.com since around 2008, 2009. And I loved, actually, I think the first time I ever got acquainted with the concept of a dead mall as an online content genre was, there was a website called Forgotten Ohio that I stumbled upon about 2008, where he had pictures of the Northland Mall in Columbus right before it was demolished. So that piqued my interest. I stumbled into deadmalls.com. I'm pretty sure I used to read the Mall Hall of Fame, which that's a great one. I love that website. He's full of information. He's just a really sweet guy too. And then I saw Dan Bell's content, and Dan Bell to me was able to accomplish something that made it immersive. I felt like I was there. And when I saw the Forest Fair video he did, I want to do this. This was my mall. I need to make a video about it. And it took me months and months and months and months and months to build up the courage. And one day my boyfriend at the time, now husband, just said, let's just go out there and do this. We're never going to know unless we just go out and do it. So we did. And that was 6 years ago. That was in 2018. Are there any malls I refuse to visit? No, actually. I mean, I would say that there are some that you know what, there is a mall I refuse to visit as of today. And that would be Charleston Town Center in Charleston, West Virginia, because they have taken what was once a beautiful mall full of character, and Hull has turned it into a labyrinth of ugly drywall, and it just makes me so sad that I can't even be in there. Kenwood Town Center is doing gangbusters. It's probably going to be one of those malls that's always going to do well, because it's the demographics for people who have the time and the money to shop that much. They're right there. It's very convenient. It is their local mall. Oh yeah, like when I discovered his content, I just devoured it in like a matter of days. Like Dead Motel series, Dead Mall series, anything abandoned. I devoured his videos and watched them over and over and over again. Like I was going through a really dark period of my life. And that was the only thing that I could escape from. Because you know, when like I was pretty broke at the time. So like you can't go out. You can't, do anything. So you're kind of stuck in the house. And being able to watch those videos and go these places with him and have it feel that immersive really just, it was what I needed at the time. And I have this hope that I'm that for somebody. Maybe not, but that's what I want. Oh, can you refresh my memory of what DSG stands for? I know the second you say it, I'm going to kick myself that I haven't figured it out. But let's see. Car crash. Oxmoor. Yep, that was back at the end of September. Oops. Oh, Dick's Sporting Goods. See, I knew that. That's probably a politer way of writing that out. It's not going to get caught by somebody trying to censor it. Don't use that word. Oxmoor is such a weird phenomenon to me because so kind of setting the stage. Oxmoor is located in Louisville, Kentucky, and it is literally across the interstate. You can see one mall from the other, from the Mall St. Matthews, and against all odds, they're both still doing well and they didn't cannibalize each other. And it is the strangest phenomenon. And that, even though both malls are doing well, might be worth going there to make a video just because it's such a strange case study. Thank you so much, Colby. You are awesome. Thank you so much. We're going to put that toward gas in January is what we're going to do. Let's see. All right, last call for questions. I think we're going to start trying to wrap this up. We've been on for an hour, but this has been really fun, and I think I am going to do this again. So maybe sometime after the next video comes out, maybe a week later, we'll get together and have a powwow. That'd be awesome. You know what's weird is I used to live an hour and a half from Louisville, and I've been to Green Tree, Mall St. Matthews, and Oxmoor multiple times. I have never been to Jefferson Mall, and I probably need to go check it out. All right. All right. Well, if anybody, see, I feel like I'm Sophia Nygaard all of a sudden, like, all right. I love her. I do. I keep thinking like I need to have a trademark because I've got another YouTuber that I watch named Mina Lay, and she calls her audience her little doves, and I just love that. Yes, I am your little dove, and I enjoy your content. Green Tree's neat. It's kind of, my recollection of it is that it was doing pretty okay. And it's neat looking. The entrance awning is really pretty at Green Tree. If you look it up on Google Maps, which I highly recommend. Google Maps is your friend. Just look it up. Look up the mall. Look up malls near such and such city. You will find things that nobody else has found yet, or at least that nobody was looking for. And I guess that's going to be it for me this evening. I appreciate all of you for coming out. This was really, really fun. And we'll do it again sometime, okay? You guys have a great night. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. Hang in there.